folks. Welcome back again. It's another edition of the talk show. We have Mr. Ganesh Morde, part 2 today. Today we will stress on three important aspects of the discussion, go through alongside these three important areas. One is airfares and ticketing or reservation, whether that should be a part of the curriculum today, whether it's relevant today, that is one. Two, what is the post-COVID situation in the aviation industry? What does Ganesh Murde think about it? And the third would be his advice or his tips of how you can build your career the same way that he has done. It could be a torchlight for everyone to come in and look at it. Hi Ganesh, how are you now?
Good evening, Sajan. I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Nice to see you again. We'll get on
Same
to
here.
the job. Yeah, we'll get on the job directly. Ganesh, I've been going for quite a few academic meetings and for travel and tourism in their syllabus formation, and there is a big divide between the two opinions. One says that airfares and ticketing is something that is not relevant today. AOG books should not be looked into. It's all gone days. It has no relevance today. Since you have been in this part of the industry where you have been actively involved in reservation and things like that, my question to you is: do you think academic should keep away from airfares and ticketing as a subject, or is it relevant today? What's your views?
That's a very good question, Sajan. Different people can have different views, but based on my experience, I would still say that airfares and ticketing is the basic and fundamental knowledge. And if you're looking from the academic point of view, we cannot actually detach or remove it directly because tomorrow if the student walks out of the institute and he works in a travel agency, and if he does not know what the fare construction is or what are the terminologies or definitions that are used, and if he works for a travel agency, it will become very difficult for him. So it's not only about travel agency, but anywhere in the industry. I mean, that's the very basic knowledge. I mean, that is the language that we use to converse with the industry people. And from academic point of view, if you are keeping this subject, I would still say still continue. What we need to know is that the outlook has changed. So previously we used to do manual ticketing and the things were not automated. Now everything is done by the system. That's the change. But that does not mean that from academic we can completely wash it out, because we need to know how can the staff converse. I mean, how can he keep a check on the system? Sometimes the algorithm can go wrong in the system also. End of the day, system is also built on algorithm. It's made by humans. So somebody has to keep a check on that. And I'm sure from a knowledge point of view, this is very much required even today for the students. This is my view.
I'll push you again. I'll push you because that is the heated debate that is going around behind the curtains. Why do we have to do AOG books, and why do you have to do it manually at the classroom? All you have to do is GDS. You know GDS. That's what the work is all about. You have to work on the system. You have to know the system very well. So there's no room at all. So does GDS replace? If you know GDS very well, you can do your job as skillfully as you have done it, because you've seen both the side of the world, the written as well as the computer one.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you an example to make it simple. So if I start, if I take a GDS training, I mean, I'm sure that is introduced in your curriculum today.
Yes, it is.
And I know how to work. Yes, and I know how to work on the GDS. But then if the fare is wrong, for example, I'm issuing a ticket and something is wrong with the fare and I'm not able to figure out, I will just rely on the system blindly and I will issue the ticket. Okay. And tomorrow, if there is a debit note that is raised by the airline, it comes to the travel agency. That is the time when the debate will start with the airline. And that is the time you will know something is wrong in the system, and you will, there's a lot of process that you'll follow. You will take it up with GDS. You will put the blame on GDS. GDS will take the responsibility of the cost. In order to avoid all this, if somebody who has worked practically how to do fare construction, and he realizes that when he checks the fare rules in the system, although it is automated, he can easily realize that maybe the combination of the fare is wrong, although the system has given it, and he will not issue. So, that increases the confidence of the staff, So, for example, a fare that cost me 1,000 rupees, uh, when I check it manually, but in the system it is giving me 800 rupees, a cheaper fare. So I just blindly issue the ticket. Then, the passenger travels. Passenger does not have to really take care of that. But end of the day, the airline will raise a debit note. They will come. There's a dispute. So you involve the GDS. Let's say you're working on Galileo system. So you will take it up with Galileo. You will, try to find out what went wrong. So obviously the GDS will take the responsibility. But having said all this, as a student, as an academic, if you know how to check these things in the system, although it is automated, definitely it will give you much better confidence, and you can avoid all this trouble. Just to give you an example and make things simple.
So, in other words, you're trying to tell me is that though GDS is there and it is a part of the syllabus, and students are doing well with that, or the new entry level, you need to have the skill. But to have the perfect skill to be there, having the edge over, even today, fare construction does play its own role in making a skill manpower. Am I right? In aviation?
100%, 100%. Because if you are just going to rely on the GDS blindly, then obviously you can remove it from the academic. But the problem is, it's like when you learn ABCD in school and you learn maths, 1 + 2 is equal to 3. Nowadays we have calculators doing that job, so we don't need to do that. But those are the basics. I mean, you cannot rule out from the academics or the books, because you become more skillful. Sometimes the machine can make mistake, or you can find out where are the issues in the system. So it helps everyone. I mean, this is how I look at things. But maybe different people will have different view. But to be very honest with you, I will still say that from knowledge point of view, it is required. It's something like a textbook knowledge, and one is the practical knowledge. There are two parts to it.
Taking the question further, in terms of a student is concerned, to have an entry level into aviation industry, the way as you said in the last part, the first discussion, that you started with a travel agency, then you went on to WNS, and then you went on to the airline. So what was the role that you studied in airfares and ticketing as a subject, and how much does it play a role to join the aviation industry? This is for my starters, for them, especially this question is in regards to them as such.
Yes. So if you are looking from the aviation industry, definitely, I mean, they prefer a little bit experienced and not completely pressure from the industry. Let it be any department. This is my experience over the years. They prefer somebody to know about basic knowledge of the travel industry, someone who knows what is reservation ticketing, or what is basically tour packages, or the terminologies, fare constructions. These are the basic areas, core areas, where the airline does not want to now invest on training. And things are getting more automated, things are getting things are changing. So I have always realized, even from my earlier days and even today, in an airline industry, normally they prefer someone with at least 2 or 3 years experience. And travel agency is the best place, to pick up the people from. They don't like actually someone directly from coming out from the institute. I don't know what is the reason for that. Maybe the job is complex, or it needs some understanding. And again, airline also plays a major role on grooming in terms of customer facing roles, rather than training on the product. So on job training is always there. But if you have already worked in a travel agency, then maybe probably you don't need to be trained that hard. You can be productive from day one. That's how airline look from recruiting point of view. This is what I have understood so far.
We'll let go with airfares and ticketing. We have spent quite a few time knowing your view about it. The other area for students hurdle is the communication. Okay. What is in your viewpoint, a 20, 21-year-old young boy or girl how should he go about acquiring the skill, and uh, does he consciously have to spend time learning it? How important is it?
I'm sure, customer, when you talk about communication, so you need to be confident when you're facing the customer, when you're talking to customer, especially if you're playing that kind of a role. And it also talks about your personality. If you're a shy person and if you're not able to face the customer, probably you're not the right person to be there. But I'm sure in the academics, in the courses that we have done, either it is Garvari or any other travel and tourism, I don't know how many people are stressing on the facts of the communication. But at least when I was in Garvari, I'm sure we had done a lot of public speaking, and we had done a lot of mannerism and ethics and grooming. We had done a lot of sessions on that. I'm sure when you walk out of the institute, it gives you a confidence, and it helps you to sail smoothly. So communication is very important. And again, some people can develop it on the job also. Some people are shy by nature. So when they actually face the customer, when they work, when they start working, they feel good, they feel more confident, they like the job, and somehow they pick it up. So it's either way, but it's a longer way when you learn it on job. But if you learn it from the institute, then obviously you save a lot of time learning on job, and your skills are much appreciated. And then people prefer, at the time of recruitment, if they find you smart, they pick up very quickly. So these are the key aspects. I think if a student has to really look from the communication point of view, I'm sure they need to upgrade their skills and not feel shy right from day one.
Okay. We will end this part of the topic, and we will go to the next one. We'll graduate to the next part of the topic is COVID-19. So we did discuss this over the phone, but I would like you to reiterate here again. How do you look at the the rebuilding of the aviation industry in the coming 6 months to 1 year's time? What are your views? How do you look at it? The entire scenario is concerned. Do you think we will be back on our foot very soon? What's your views?
Definitely, I'm very positive on this, because this is not the first time this has hit us. Yes, it has been a major incident compared to the previous incidents. I mean, just to give you examples of SARS earlier, or a flu somewhere in 1917. I don't know the exact date. Industry, obviously, travel industry, people are traveling all over the world. So whenever such pandemic events happen, definitely travel and aviation industry is the first one to hit badly. That's when people stop traveling. But I have also seen that industry bounces back very soon. So I'm very positive on that part. Now, coming to the second part, when you say post COVID, just to give you an example, Lufthansa, Finnair, and Scandinavian, recently they have announced they are going to start their operations by 25%. In fact, in India, SpiceJet and Indigo, they have started 20% of their operations. And even the governments are very positive, to overcome this situation. One is economic way, and secondly is the industry that is actually suffered a heavy loss in the last 2 months. So I'm very positive that will bounce back by in the coming 2 to 3 months. So it's already beginning. In fact, airlines have started operations, just to let you know. So that's very positive sign. I'm sure very soon the hotel industry, which is still lagging behind, they'll also catch up. So to be very honest with you, if you ask me, another 6 months time, we should be up to the mark. We should be back to normal, and I'm sure things will be normal.
Just to make it discussive and just to make it more debatable, they say you need to have so and so kind of concept that one seat should be left, you should have a mask, and you should have hand gloves, and you should sanitize your hand. You talk about volume in a city like Mumbai and a Friday night airport. Do you think all these things measures can actually be put in place, or is it just for paper value? Do you think how can they do it practically? How can they make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, I can share some experience because my wife works at the airport with SpiceJet.
Mm-hmm.
So I have some information already.
Mm-hmm.
What they have done is, just to give you a live example or what I heard, uh, all the check-in now they have made it compulsory through web. Earlier it was not very compulsory, so people used to go at the check-in counter and do a manual check-in. Directly interact with the counter staff, airline counter staff, and do the drop the baggages and all. So now airlines have changed their way of working. They are saying that you have to do a web check-in before you travel, which opens up like 5 or 6 hours before the departure, or maybe one day before. And you can just do, you can just say how much is your baggage and all, and just go at the airport, show the boarding card, electronic boarding card, and just drop your baggage. Just take the weight. If it is overweight, everything is at the self kiosk, so there is no interaction directly with the airline staff, and they are maintaining a social distance also. They are just talking with a distance, and they are guiding people. So plus they're wearing mask and gloves. Additionally, they have also made it compulsory to download the Arogya Setu app on your mobile and see whether you come from a green zone. If you're coming from a red zone or a containment zone, then they are not accepting you on the flight, or they check your temperature. If they feel your temperature is very high and the chances of fever, they will not accept you on the flight. So these measures have really added a lot of value and confidence for people who are traveling on the flight. Coming to the second part, when you enter on the flight, the some airlines were thinking that they should keep some social distance of one seat vacant, and then, but that's not practical. And to be very honest with you, if I share my view, SpiceJet flights to Bangalore now are going full. I mean,
Full. Mm.
and secondly, there is no social distancing. I mean, the seats are normal, are just how it is there today. And because this now precautions or measures what they have taken care of, they are not allowing a sick passenger to board the aircraft, and they are making compulsion on wearing the mask and gloves. And even if you're coming from a green zone, I think I'm very positive. I mean, people are still traveling. The flights are full, so the scare is less now, and people know how to stay hygiene and take care of themselves. And also, because of us, somebody else should not be infected. So this mannerism is also and awareness is on the growth. So I'm very positive. I mean, if I can see a full flight now, I mean, we are talking in June, and the flights have started just like in the last week of May, 25th of May. Today is 6th. So in a week's time, I can see the flights are going full, which is a big achievement. I mean, I can see that industry is getting back to normal, and I'm happy about that. To mention that.
Okay. Uh, since you have been in aviation for a long time in the Indian space, as well as you have traveled, you have worked in Dubai also. So, just a general view I wanted about you from you is that how do you look at this 30, 40 years of growth or change in India with the aviation sector? How do you look at it in the future also? Any thoughts on that as such?
Aviation has a great future, especially in India, because uh, if I compare with US market,
Mm-hmm.
we have a market which is already developed, which is very matured and 10 years ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at US, India is way back, and that itself is the positive thing, that there is a big growth in India, especially in the domestic sector. Forget international.
Yeah.
And I'm 110% sure the fleet of the aircrafts and the domestic airlines are going to grow very big. Compared to some of the international airlines like European carriers. I don't want to name that, but what I'm trying to say is that airlines like Indigo, who are already having 100 plus aircrafts today,
Mm-hmm.
being a domestic and international player,
Right.
with very few flights operating on the international, but maximum business is coming from the domestic. Then tier 2 and tier 3 cities are upcoming in India. Lots of new airports are going to come up. There is a lot of scope for travel within India. So as far as airline industry is concerned, for the next 10, 15 years, I'm sure there's a big growth. At some point, it will become stagnant. But if you ask, as of today, it's going to grow a lot. I mean, if I compare in the past, we grow very slowly. We should have grown today, but anyway, now the government is also backing. New reforms are coming, so I'm very positive that things will look very good in India. Things are improving.
So to sum it up, you say that post-COVID, we have a good picture in as far as aviation is concerned in the future. One and two, domestic markets will play a very important role in making sure we are steady and safe, gliding through the next 6 months to 1 year's time.
100%. I'm very positive on that, and I'm sure we'll bounce back very soon. And there is a good growth. So people should not think negative and stay away from rumors or WhatsApp messages and all.
Mhm.
I'm sure that will India has a good future as far as aviation is concerned.
All right. Now this is the last segment of the show, talk show, and that is concerning every young uh, aspirant to join the industry, whoever wants to join the industry. So if we could help them, because you have gone the way to 20-25 years, made your way through. So how do we, if I want to be in the aviation industry, in the aviation space, as a 21-year-old bachelor's in travel and tourism, how do I start? Where do I focus on? How do I build myself in 3 years' time so that I can be where I want to be? Where do I start from, Ganesh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, airline has different branches. Like people know only reservation ticketing or sales and marketing. But as a operation, there are a lot of back office processes. Then there are a lot of operational areas at the airport, and there is a big IT teams. You need engineering teams. Again, if you look for a student who's just come out of a institute doing a travel and tourism course,
Yeah, specifically, yeah.
uh, definitely, I mean, definitely there's first of all, he should be aware where he wants to work. He wants to make a career in sales and marketing for the airline division. Would he like to grow in the revenue management? Whether he would like to grow in the ticketing, or whether he would like to, if he's not clear, at least he should work, basically 1 or 2 years in the travel agency. Then he should take up job, because that's the ideal way of getting into an airline. Build up your knowledge about the industry, the basic knowledge, get into airline industry. Once you're inside the airline branch, you have a lot of things to explore. You can be in the training team, you can be in the customer facing role, you can be in the back office process, you can be in the IT team also as an analyst. So one should be open and flexible, and he should be very clear or focused which area he would like to concentrate once he gets into the airline branch.
Ganesh,
And
I'll interrupt you here for a minute. I'm talking about myself. I'm an average student. I got a B plus in my final grade as such. Uh, I know, I'm very sure that directly the competition is very high. If I apply in Indigo or I apply in SpiceJet, the competition is very high. I may not get through. I'm not yet prepared for it. In such a scenario, do you think if I go to TCS, a travel process, or a Intel travel process, start my career in a BPO, if I'm a focused person, be focused, understand reservations in a BPO or in a KPO, spend 2 years there, then slowly shift start applying to airline companies, or go to a mature Thomas Cook or a SOTC, a travel agency. Is that a right path to go through? How do you look at it?
definitely, as you said, that working in a travel agency or a BPO, to get into airline, obviously
Yeah.
your thoughts will become matured. You will have some clarity.
Yes.
Initially, people are not sure when they start to when they start to make their career. People are very fascinated by the customer facing role,
Yes.
and they like
Yes.
to work in a glamorous world. But after 2-3 years, when the reality bites, when they think of growing up, that is the time they think of getting into the right places. That is the time when they are in a position to make right decision. So to begin with, starting with travel agency is one of the best thing. It's one of the best experience uh, to start with, because there you get to know about the airline industry, you get to know how to issue tickets, you get to know how to look at the GDS, or how to look at the airfares and ticketing, and you also get to know some understanding about how to do proration and all. Not everybody gets exposed to that, but these terminologies, when you go for interviews, definitely your customer or your customer facing role and your communication skills, plus
Is
with some
important.
working background, will land a job for you into airline any day. So uh, again, airline is a big industry. I mean, you can grow internally. I can guide you probably which are the different areas where to
Can you
look
spell
for,
out
and
some of the areas which would be
so
beneficial?
yes, some of the areas are like, so typically in a travel industry, I've seen that people now are like, when they come out of the institute, their main focus is to work in travel agency, either at the
Reservations.
or at the hotel, or probably they would like to work even in the airline. uh, I'm sure that's in the customer facing role, but I mean, that's not only the places. These are places where you
Entry point.
face the customer. These are like frontline jobs. There are some backline jobs like revenue management, revenue accounting. Now, where the processing of the data, once the ticket is issued, it comes to the back office, into a application, a revenue accounting application. The data gets processed. A lot of complex reports are generated. A lot of analysis are submitted to the airline, and in a revenue management, the airline studies what is the profitability, what is the growth, what is the pricing that they are offering, what are the competitors in the market. So these are the different areas where people can actually enjoy working if they like to explore. Plus they can also get into a business analyst kind of a role, where you work on the, nowadays artificial intelligence is coming up. So you know uh, a lot of airlines want to automate their things and get into all this kind of things, so they will need more people to do the data analysis and work on the different applications. So obviously, once you explore this, once you're on job, you'll get these things. And students should be open to accept or to get the jobs, because these are high paying jobs. People are not aware about that. People are mainly focusing on a travel agency. They work for a lot number of years, and after that they land a very good senior role job or something. But here, if you are young and smart enough, you can grow within 4 to 5 years also, because the IT industry is also opening up. There are many industry players who are offering solutions to the airlines. So you can, after working for an airline, you can also join some IT industry also as an analyst, and end up a very high paying job.
So you're
There are
summing it
many
up by
companies
saying
now.
that on one end you have reservations, you have the travel core
Correct.
travel product, and on the other end you also have upcoming IT. If you can club the two, it's going to be magic.
Yes, and definitely when you have to work in this complex areas, you need to have experience. They cannot take freshers here. They don't expect you to train and all, because they want somebody who knows travel industry and all. And by that time, you become mature. So after 5 6 years, you can try these places, and you can make magic. I mean, you can grow up the ladder very quickly
Right.
if you're smart
Ganesh,
enough.
I'm being a devil's advocate because I just recently had to place some students in internship, and one basic thing I seen in them was that you know Thomas Cook, okay, SOTC, it's okay. If it is ABC travel agency, no, that it's a IATA agency, it's IATA approved agency, but no, that is not where I want to go. If I work in some place, it has to be Thomas Cook, it has to be SOTC. The smaller agencies, they don't do work, and I'm not going to work there. How do we convince these young people that work matters and not the agency's name? What is your opinion? How do we change them?
Uh, That's a very good question, Sajan, because label gives you the exposure, but does not mean that you learn all the work. In fact, I have worked in a small agency,
Correct.
and I have done multitasking. I learned a lot of jobs, and I was very happy. I mean, today when I look back after so many years,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy that I worked for a small agency and not for these big brands like Thomas Cook or SOTC. I never worked in my career. But I'm very happy where I'm today because I learned a lot in a small agency, small IATA agency, because I used to do ticketing. I used to handle the documentation part for visas. I used to handle the passport, to get things done. I used to do the domestic booking. I used to do the pricing of the tour. I used to give customized tours. I used to sell tours to the corporates. I used to go and meet the corporates and convince them and sell them incentive tickets. So trust me, this experience you will not get in Thomas Cook. Yes, it's a big label. Sometimes you will just do one kind of job and you might get highly paid. But as a beginner, as a fresher, I don't think money is the only criteria. You want to learn. There is a, if you have thirst for learning things, I would still say that a small agency is a good place to do all these activities, learn things, and you get a good exposure. I mean, you know all the areas of the travel industry right in the beginning, and landing the job is very easy afterwards. Just to give you an example, during my days, we used to do visas manual, as in all there were all the travel agents used to do the visas. We used to go to the consulates in the morning, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, okay, and submit the papers and get it done. It was a manual thing. We never used to do online as it is today. Today we have VFS, which is a standard company who, for any country visa, you just go and submit your document. All the information is available online. You can fill up the form. Everything is so easy nowadays. You just have to go and submit the paper. You just have to take the appointment. But in my days, we used to do this manually. We used to call up the consulate. We used to get the information. So there was a lot of struggle in those days. But in today's time, everything is available online. But the thing is, if you just focus on one area, uh, maturity will not come to you. You will not get the exposure. I'm not talking about money here, but from the work perspective, yes, a smaller agency will give you more value if you really want to, do all kinds of jobs. So, that's why I could, today, if you ask me, the market is now changing. During my times, reservation and ticketing was a big thing. It does not hold prime importance today from business point of view, but uh, in fact, it has opened doors for tours now. That is a change in the dynamics. And even in tour consultancy, I've seen there is a lot of different segments appearing in the last 5 to 10 years. And there are a lot of things that people can do magic. They can start their business, they can do consultancy, they can work for corporates. Even corporates are now preferring to have their own staff, travel staff, who can do consultation, who can give them good service. They don't want to go to a travel agency, so that's how they have an in-house travel office. And obviously a person should be experienced to do that kind of a job there. So if you start with a small travel agency, I'm sure you can do magic. I mean, you can work anywhere. You fit in any part of the industry. You just have to learn the job and pick it up.
So
That's my say.
that's it, students or the viewers. Uh, you got it straight from the horse's mouth that yes, as experience is concerned, you got to spend the first 2 3 years understanding the industry. Whereas a small travel agency, the better. The work exposure matters. What you learn in that 2 3 years is what you built upon. So even though if you want to work for the aviation industry, yes, you can work in a travel agency, start working in reservation or tour operation, then jump to sales, and then maybe in 3 years' time you can get into aviation sales because you have learned everything about it and you gradually got into aviation where you wanted. Once you get into the aviation industry, then there are a lot of more openings within the company where you can escalate yourself from sales to promotions or maybe advertising, so on and so forth. So that's what it is. The basic is, yes, just a big name, just a big travel agency is not the catchword. The catchword is where do you start, what do you learn, how do you spend your time 3 years, and where you make it from there. That's how it is. Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you for being with us. We will get in touch with you. We require you more with your tips or with your knowledge in a live webinar or a live talk show is concerned, where you can interact directly with students. All right. In the next episode, we
Thank
have.
you, Sajan.
Yep. I'm sorry.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Sachin. It was really nice talking with you, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yes.
I'm sure it should help the students, to think or to question and think about their plan their career
Yes.
thoughtfully rather than just jumping to big names or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And if they need any advice, I'm really open. And if you need any kind of information, I'm glad to share with you.
Okay. In the next episode, as we have Ganesh from the aviation sector, we have people coming from the hotel industry. We have people coming from the tourism sector, co-tourism, tour operators, and also we have people coming from the hotel sector and hotel, tourism, and aviation again. We have a gentleman who will be joining us from New Zealand. He works for Air New Zealand there, and he will be joining us and give his views on what aviation is and how we can join it. Thank you, and bye bye, Ganesh. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Sajid. Bye.